whether it's, you know, your religion, your family, the things that you hold closest to you, that's spiritual, okay? And all of these aspects are very important. And if we don't have one of them, well, that can affect the other ones. You know, we talked about, you know, if you're in a lousy mood, you may not feel like exercising, okay? If you didn't get a lot of sleep, then your mental, how does that affect our mental ability? It can affect us. How many of you last night were able to get 8 hours of sleep last night? Okay, you did. Okay, we got one person. Okay, yeah, I didn't either. And that can affect us, okay? That can affect us mentally. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about how to manage your energy in terms of the physical aspect, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and how you can manage energy to help you with your health and to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve, okay? And I'm not just talking about your goals for cardiac rehab. Obviously, you know, in cardiac rehab, we work a lot on exercise and diet, which can for sure affect you physically. But today's lecture is more of a holistic look at, you know, you as a person, okay? Not just, you know, what medications you're on or what type of procedures you've had in the past. It's talking about, you know, again, the things that are important for you, okay? And how that intertwines with, you know, your health and your family and your relationships, okay? So we're going to get really deep today, okay? We're going to talk about some deep stuff. Okay. We're also going to talk about how we go about making changes, okay? Because, again, there's a relationship between our energy and our different domains and how that can either help us or hinder us from making the changes we want to make. And when we talk about making changes, I like to think of ourselves as GPS systems, okay? How many of you use a GPS system in your car? They're great, aren't they? I don't know how I get around to new places without them anymore. So how does a GPS work?
It works great. I mean,
Well, how do you use it?
You put in the location you want to go to and program it in, and then it sets up and tells you how to get there.
Exactly. So for you to use your GPS, you have to know where you're going, okay? And then once you type in those coordinates, the satellite has to find where you are, right?
Yes.
So when we talk about making change, it's important for us to understand, like that GPS system, you know, where are we going? What is our purpose? What things that matter most to us, okay, in terms of our goals? And we're going to talk about that later. But it also, just as important, we need to talk about where are we right now? Are we where we want to be in terms of our changes? Whether it's exercising or smoking or reducing stress. Are you at the point where you want to be? Okay? So again, we're going to talk about that, and then last of all today, we're going to talk about, well, how do you get there? Okay, once you figure out where you're going and where you are, what do you have to do to get to that point? All right. Just to explain a little further to you guys in terms of the energy management, we're going to do a little exercise right now, and I want you guys to think about, you know, how you are feeling right now, and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 4. So, for example, if you woke up this morning and maybe because the weather is a little cooler, your arthritis was really bothering you, maybe your physical today is only about a 1 or a 2 because you don't feel that great, okay? Emotionally, you know, how are you feeling? Are you in a good mood? Are you in a bad mood? Are you feeling optimistic? Are you feeling kind of pessimistic? Okay. Mentally, are you here right now? Okay. Are you focusing on yourself in my lecture? Hopefully, you guys are. So, or are you kind of somewhere else right now? And then spiritually, do you feel like you have a purpose? Do you feel like, you know, the reason why you're here in cardiac rehab today is going to help you down the road in terms of ultimately what you hope to accomplish, okay? Does that make sense? Do I need to clarify any of these for you guys? Okay, so I want you guys right now, you guys on your paper here, okay? I'm gonna have you guys rate yourself, so take your pens out, okay? And under physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, rate yourself where you are at this moment, okay? So go ahead and take a few moments to do that. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. How many of you right now are all 3s and 4s? Anybody? Okay, good.
I'm all for it.
You're all 4s, okay. That's great, so you're on top of the world right now.
Yeah.
Okay, good,
Obviously don't have
good.
to be here.
Well, you can go home now, okay? All right. How many of you are not all 3s and 4s today? Okay, anyone want to tell me why you're not 3s and 4s?
I'm like, I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm like for the first time in my life, I don't know. When people ask me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at myself in the mirror and it's like I'm coming to grips with I'm alive.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
Mhm.
I mean, I've had a heart attack. All my life I've had autoimmune. My body's been at war.
Yeah.
I've been at war with the environment and everything around me. So now, what's this all about?
Yeah, and we talked about, Monday, how,
Yeah.
you had a
Oh,
very stressful
well,
job and, as a
very-
school principal and you probably, had to run a lot of things and so, yeah, so that's good. Anyone else in terms of Mr. Collins?
Physically, I feel like a 2.
2, how come?
I have energy,
Yeah,
and like I was telling some lady earlier, it's something that you have to deal with, going through what you're going through.
Sure,
I'm going through
sure.
4-stage cancer, and this, I had 5 small heart attacks in less than 2 days.
Mhm.
So I'm dealing with this. And before this, I was physically fit as far as doing what I wanted to, able to do. But now it's like, if I say like walk from the car
Yeah,
to the corner,
yeah,
I have to stop and sit down.
okay.
Where I might be able to walk for a mile
Mhm,
before,
mhm, mhm,
And it's just something that you have to deal with. Mentally, emotionally, it's good.
mhm. Okay,
Mentally is good, better.
okay,
And spiritually is better.
good,
Because
okay.
I have, all the things, faith in God,
Mhm,
one thing. Then I have a good support system with my family,
Okay.
both family, my kids and my wife.
Good, good.
I have a big group,
Church family.
Okay.
church family.
Well, that's good. And using
So-
this pyramid can also kind of maybe help you focus on what are the areas in your life that maybe you do need to work on.
Right.
And then maybe if physical is low for you, do you think that, exercising and eating healthy and all those things can maybe help you
Right.
move on that? So, okay, well, good.
He wanted to share us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What about accepting the things you cannot change?
Well, that's an important thing. I would probably put that under the spiritual side because, there's some things that we can do things about and some things we have no control
We have
over.
no control.
But
And
all
so,
of
yeah.
this is working off your mind,
Yeah.
except for a few things.
Mhm,
And I don't think we've gotten to those yet.
mhm. Okay, well, let's
I
get
get
through.
tired, I
Okay.
get tired, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it, so I accept it. But then when I found out they can help,
Mhm,
then you go and you participate in those activities.
mhm, mhm,
So, going around saying this, that, blah, blah, it doesn't help.
mhm, mhm.
What helps is action.
Okay, and we're gonna talk about action today. We're gonna talk about that. And what's your last name again?
Tyler.
Mr. Tyler, okay. All right. So, I want you guys to think back to a time that perhaps you felt like you were all 4s, okay, on this chart. So has there been a time maybe recently where you felt like physically you felt great, you were really energized, you were ready to, tackle the world, emotionally you were really feeling happy, mentally you were with it, spiritually, so any of you think of a time where you were at all 4s?
Not since I had congestive
Not,
heart
okay,
failure.
okay, but you can remember of a time, right, Ms. Brown?
Yeah.
Okay, how would you guys like to feel that way more often?
I was
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right, so I would think that most of us would agree that if we could be, have more days where we're 3s and 4s, would that help us make some changes that we wanna make?
I think so.
Okay. So again, when we talked about, when your energy level is down, whether it's the physical or the emotional or the spiritual, it gets in our way in trying to make healthy changes. So for example, if you're trying to lose weight, but you had a crummy day at work and you're feeling really down, you may be more likely to make those poor decisions, okay? So again, we're gonna talk about, how can you move down the spectrum where you are more 3s and 4s? Can you guys think back to a time where maybe you had a rough patch, maybe emotionally, maybe it was with a family member, maybe it was through work, think back, maybe 10, 20 years ago where you had a really rough time, but you're able to overcome that, and it was able to help you grow more as a person. Can any of you think of a time where that has happened to you? Okay. So when we talk about stress in our energy systems, our bodies, okay, it's easy to think about the physical domain in terms of if you were to start exercising on a treadmill or lift a weight, the heavier the weight is, over time your body's going to adapt and get stronger. Right, Jim? Just like we're going to do tomorrow with you, okay? So with weight training, you stress your body gets stronger with that, okay? The same thing can be said to some of these other dimensions in terms of emotional, mental, or spiritual. If you do a lot of crossword puzzles, does that make you stay more mentally alert? Okay? So when we talk about the energy systems, understand that you're not going to always be at a 4 all the time, all day long. Okay? No one is going to be, physically feeling like they can run a marathon all day long, or emotionally be extremely happy or excited. So there are some times where you will need to recover your system. So there's a stress component and a recovery component. So the stress component, as I was saying before, is kind of like what we do to our bodies in cardiac rehab, where you walk on the treadmill, you stress the system, you may feel tired after exercise, but after a day or two, it helps your body get stronger. Emotionally, how many of you feel like you have struggles with stress or patience or forgiveness? How many of you feel like you could, okay, so Eileen, do you mind if I ask you what your struggles are with sometimes?
Well, and this is, it's a huge thing, because with your heart you stress it, then that makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
With mental and emotional and spiritual stress, the kind that you don't control, that it's not your fault, you lost your job, your mom has dementia, I don't know that makes you stronger. And so I struggle with that. There's only so much you can take on before you just are bogged down. And so I have a mom with dementia right now, and anyone who's dealt with that knows it's just very demanding, and it's not like a child where they're going to grow up and learn to clean their room. There's not a good thing at the end of it. So that I'm interested in. Of course, there's sometimes you just have to install a faucet so you can relieve some of that.
Yeah, and that's where the recovery comes in. So okay. So, but maybe just are there specific instances in terms of working with your mom that you feel like sometimes you get impatient with her because of her condition, or so maybe that could be something that you can try to focus on working with her. So what I mean by that is, can you give me an example of something that she does that?
A real simple one. Today she decided she was going to drive to Troy, and we live in Dearborn.
Okay.
and she's not supposed to drive. She promised the neurologist.
Mhm.
We were both crying and screaming in the office because she promised.
Okay.
So it's those things where I just, in a way, I feel like I wanna honor and respect her,
Sure,
but I
sure.
wanna take her over my knee and spank her,
Mhm.
because she can't do that. And the fear while I'm here that she's gonna sneak out. So it's hard, when you have a stressor, to be front and center, you know, to be here now, because you're there trying to manage this thing that, you know, I can't do anything while I'm right here.
Mr. Tyler, were you gonna say something?
Take the coil while loose in the car.
I thought of that,
She's
disconnecting
gonna
the battery.
She's gonna try to
He's
start
not
with.
wrong. My dad just passed away from Alzheimer's, and he is not wrong unless she is in a 24-hour care facility with an alarm when she rises.
Right.
She will get up, she will wander away, she will do those things, and what they tell you is, you're the one that needs a caregiver right now. I mean, no matter how well intended and no matter how many people, she will, because she's bright, she's your mom. She's intelligent, she has single focus and nothing else is in there. So take the coil wire loose, something simple,
Well, that's.
and relieve your stress.
It helps to laugh once in a
Yeah,
while.
you have to
Well,
laugh.
that's a great, those are some great suggestions. And sometimes just coming and talking to people about things like that, people who have similar situations, like Miss Carol said. So it sounds like she was in the same boat as you. But the one thing I kind of want to draw back to everybody in this room is we can come up with great ideas and suggestions for different problems or obstacles we have in our life. But what I want you guys to think about as you're dealing with these problems, because we have them, okay, they're here, is how are you able to better look at this situation? Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, my problem is like getting sleep at night. Like because of the way I work swing shifts. I work around the clock.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me. I feel like if I could get more sleep, I'd have more energy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd be stronger during the day or whenever I gotta perform my job or just be with my family.
Sure,
But
sure.
like, the main problem is just getting rest. That causes stress in my life too. It causes me to be less patient with things that I have to do because I'm tired most of the time. I feel like if I could find a way to get more exercise, maybe it would give me more strength or make me sleep better.
Make it sleep better. Okay, that's great. And we're gonna get to a part where we talk about people's, stories and what's going on with them. And so I'm gonna come back to you on that one. But real quick, I don't wanna stay on this slide for too long. But in terms of stressing the system, stressing your emotional system, your mental system, your spiritual system, you wanna think of it as, if your issue is maybe you're not patient with your mother because of you feel frustrated or because of the things that you know that she can't do. As you talk to her, as you work with her, maybe keep in the back of your mind, think of, are there other things that you can kind of think about to kind of diffuse your, the fact that you're being impatient with her. Like think about, if you were in her situation, that's always a good thing to kind of look at. Or if you can at least say for the first 5 minutes that I talked to my mom today, I am gonna do my best to not be, impatient with her. And whatever it's gonna take for you to think about so you don't become impatient, if you practice that, it will get better. So that's the point with any of these. Just like the muscles in the body, if you practice lifting weights, your muscles are gonna get stronger. If you practice becoming more patient, you will become more patient. However, on the other hand, if you practice being cynical, you're gonna become very good at cynical. How many of you know people that are very good at being cynical, or being short-tempered, or being angry? So we get better at what we practice. So that's, again, the take-home message to this slide is the stress you create will create more energy, but you better be sure that you're trying to create positive energy so you can have the outcomes that you want to. Any questions on that? Okay. So, now we're going to get to some really deep stuff here, okay? So we're gonna talk about purpose. So, because, you know, we just mentioned about the, you know, how to improve your own energy, you know, and we want to be 3s and 4s on our energy chart. Once we develop a way to get more energy, we need to do something with this energy, okay? Once you get better sleep and you feel more alert, you know, you want to direct that energy to something, you know, that has a purpose, okay? So let's talk about what are the things that matter most to you, okay? How do you want to live your lives, okay? So we're at the point right now where I want you guys to think about the people, the things that are most important to you. Maybe it's becoming a better husband, maybe it's becoming a better father, maybe it's becoming a better person in the community. What I want you guys to do is think about, what is my purpose, okay? And maybe this isn't something that we think about a whole lot, okay? And as Ms. Carroll said earlier, you know, you feel like you're kind of gone adrift since the heart attack. And so this is a time and opportunity for each of you to kind of reflect and think at, you know, for instance, you know, how do you want your grandkids to talk about you, you know, 50 years from now? Okay, when they think back to you, okay, what are the sort of things do you want them to say? So take some time, okay, where it says write your ultimate mission statement, and think about what's the most important thing, what is your purpose, you know, in life, okay? What would you like to be remembered for? Is that pretty clear? Okay, so go ahead, I want you guys to write this down, and we're gonna share these, all right?
But isn't that part of the point? Not to
Oh, no,
knock
go ahead.
anybody
No,
else off.
yeah.
I have always, because of what I did, these kinds of, I mean, my mission statements begin within, and that's one of the things that they did to me. They remade me into this thing. I mean, I went through the Servant Leadership Institute, but that went right along with what my purpose in life was. I mean, I already got the purpose-driven life.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the problem now. That
Well,
is,
you have
I
to-
have been taken out of that, and
Yeah.
all those things will actually diminish my life if I continue on my purpose-driven path. That's why I'm here.
Well, maybe you
that-
need to change course.
That's what I'm saying. So I
Okay.
have right now, I absolutely want to participate in this
Okay.
part. I absolutely positively have no idea
All right,
where
well,
I want to set
let's see.
my sail at this moment,
Okay.
other than
Raquel, do
just
you
to-
have any-
I mean,
that's
what
how
I would
drift.
encourage you to do is to just answer some of the simple questions first that are on there, like who's important to you, because that one probably
We
will
did say that hasn't changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you might want to do is rewrite your purpose with a different viewpoint or a different angle, which is the experiences that you've just had in your life.
It sounds good, isn't too early, I'm just saying, it's only been 6 weeks. I'm very
That's all right.
conscious of the time element in that. And one of the things that I have done, which is artificial, I completely had to cut myself off from my life,
Right.
which is, when I look at I have 1,600 emails. I mean, I'm
Good
serious,
word.
I had to
Whoa.
cut myself off, well, you have to know what it was, I mean, my purpose in life has been, it's been a servant leadership kind of a role, and even after I retired, I transitioned into doing something else that was just as demanding.
Right.
So now, I've started back again, calling, and
But
whatever.
here's what I want you to think about, where you are right now,
Right.
everything that's happened to you,
Yeah.
having to cut off. How could you create a different purpose that
That's
maybe
what I-
doesn't take you in that direction now?
Yeah, how do we do that?
You just have to reflect and
We
start
can't give you
answering some
that
of those
answer.
questions, right? So you may not get it today,
I
right
really
now in the
need to
class.
know. I'm gonna move. I can move.
No, we don't want you to run away,
No,
because
I-
things are just gonna follow.
That's what I'm saying, I need to move, I think.
So here's what I want you to do. So we do this, all the time.
Right,
I just want you to go to your handout,
okay.
and I just want you to answer a few questions as you see your life today, knowing where you want it to be, but understanding what has happened to you. Reflecting upon those 2 things and saying, well, maybe the purpose that I had before got me to this,
It's just,
or it took me to a place I didn't want to go. But now you do.
bottom drawer of my file
But now
cabinet.
you do. And now you do.
Right.
So having this perspective
Right.
will help you to create something for yourself.
So the rest of you, if you guys are having writer's block,
See,
again,
that's
just,
what I'm trying to tap
think
into
about some of the questions that you guys
something else.
are here under purpose.
That's like
In terms of, as I said before, how do you want important people to describe you as a person? What do you want to accomplish? What are your most important values and beliefs? And what do you want to be remembered for?
This is like a central question
It
in
is
our
a
lives.
very
And
central
so
question,
can you
yes.
suggest some things to, I mean,
Well,
I've been struggling with
Yeah,
this
yeah, this is-
daily.
So, first of all, you can answer the top one. Who are the most important people in your life?
Mhm.
Okay, and then how do you want these important people to describe you as a person? So if you can just start with those first two
Start with
questions,
something.
that's a good start. Okay.
Then you get me
Physically and mentally, I thought the mentally, like, I'm still.
I don't think I met you yet. Is this your first day?
Yes, this is my first day starting there, but I was here Monday
For
night.
the orientation?
For orientation.
Okay, I'm Dennis, by the way.
Courtney.
Nice to meet you, Courtney.
Hey Courtney, it's not, none of the rest of it is
I'm
this hard.
sorry.
The rest of it is, believe
I know.
me, this is the
Yeah.
hardest
Well,
one.
you think it's hard for you, you should be up here right now.
You're doing great, you're doing great.
Okay, all right, do any of you, would any of you like to share your purpose statement?
Or just pieces
I
of your
just want a
purpose.
Parts of it, you just want a
Yeah.
purpose. And anybody, Ms. Brown?
I love the most important people in my life. My parents are deceased. I just lost my mom. She was 83. I went through the dementia with her, but fortunately, I have 5 brothers and sisters. Well, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So we kind of,
And bonded together?
yeah,
Yeah.
to kind of watch her and take care of her last couple of years. She was very difficult. My husband and my daughter, I have 2 daughters. I lost my son a couple of years ago, and I think that has really changed my life more than anything. He was only 28. And I thought it was okay, he lived in our neighborhood, but my husband's been there for 40 years, we've been there for 30. So I thought it was okay for him to walk to the gas station, but he got caught in a drive-by shooting and he had gotten heavy and I thought he was gonna be okay, but the bullet ricocheted and just traveled through his vital organs and it was nothing they could do for him. I got that was kind of shock to my system to realize that my neighborhood wasn't safe anymore, not even for us to walk. And right now when I need to walk so badly, all I want to do is move, but my husband is determined to stay here.
I remember we talked about that last time you were here.
And it depresses me a lot because I think I'd get out a little more if I felt safer, but I don't. So I stay in the house, I don't garden anymore. I had a big garden in my backyard.
But as far as the family that's still with you, your brothers and sisters, your husband, how would you like them to remember you or think of you? What, if they were to say...
You know, that is a hard thing.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was
Yeah.
thinking, I have a grandson that's in his first year of college. But all my other grandkids are 1.
Yeah.
The oldest one is 8 after him. Well, no, I take that back. Her brother is 11. But they're all little. So the one that's in college right now, he knows me as being grandma active. Going to the zoo, going to Kensington Park. That was my role, but
Okay.
we went everywhere.
So if you're able to become more active and
Maybe.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Jim, are you gonna? I hate to pick on you here, so.
Mine was really easy because Solomon did it for us at the end of Ecclesiastes. He said, the whole purpose of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. Everything else falls under that. So you talk ultimate purpose, that's where mine comes from.
What if you're atheist? You don't believe in that?
Then let's talk.
That's his purpose. It doesn't have to be
That is my,
yours.
yes.
Yeah.
My purpose is also to help
Yeah.
people who don't believe.
Oh, good.
I'm really glad you
Yeah.
guys just did that, because suddenly it came to my mind, why are we here? It's a central question of our humanity, and everyone answers that themselves, but I think at the very least to be of service. And
That's it.
and if you're of service, your whole attitude, your whole energy goes outside of yourself, not this stupid heart that won't work,
Sure,
or this
sure.
fat ass, or this
That's
You
a
know,
good.
poor old
Uh-huh.
mom, but it's
Yeah.
what can I do
Yeah.
to make this a better place and make a difference while I'm here? So thank you for
Okay.
that.
That was a
Appreciate
great
that.
answer. I'm gonna have to write,
See,
we're gonna have to write
can you
down
work
that
with
answer.
that? Can you work with that, to be of service? You
Tyler?
don't have to believe all
Partially,
that.
I think my purpose in life is to do the best I can at whatever I do.
That's a good answer.
I'm going through some of the things that she was talking about, like my wife has Alzheimer's, and I have to do everything.
Yeah,
But I have accepted it the way it is.
Yeah,
I cannot give her the car keys, I have to turn the
So
electricity
that's
off
where
in the
you
back
came
of
up
the
with
store.
that idea.
You have to do these, and she'll be saying, well, call somebody, we get this thing going. Well, I said, I'm gonna call, I go in the room, close the door for about 5 minutes, I call, yeah, they're coming. They don't ever get there, she start thinking about something else.
yeah.
And accuse you of everything that's wrong.
And that was, you brought up another good point, Mr. Tyler, and one common thread that I see with a lot of people who go through cardiac rehab is the fact that a lot of times, stress kind of brings to the surface some of these physical issues in terms of their heart and some other things, but a lot of times you do see when people have their heart problems, it is under times of duress. So obviously how our emotions, how we feel, for sure affects our bodies.
I just wanna say one other thing. I think everybody has the same problems, and sometimes, like in your situation, lightning doesn't strike at the same time every time. So it's you, that's your problem why you stay in the house. It's you that don't take a step. Man's biggest problems in life, I think, is fear. So if you wanna be scared, you can't go nowhere, you can't do this, you can't do that, what are you living for?
Well,
You have to think about those things. You have to live for you, number one. And then number two, is all the other people that you love. So you can walk the street whenever you feel like it. If that's your time, it's your time, no matter what.
one thing I did forget to do.
It's okay, I think we're
Can
good.
I, all right,
Please,
well,
I think we're good.
you think we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I was gonna show video,
It was a video.
but it wasn't working very well with the sound. So I promise that one of these next lectures, I'm gonna show this video because it's a really good video. I can't even describe it because it won't do it justice, so, but make sure you come to my next lecture, and if we can get the video working, I'll play it for you guys, so that's my reel to get you guys back.
Yeah, you're lucky if anybody shows after
We all
just get there.
I remember back in college, in one of the first classes I had, the professor said, why? I wrote, why not? And I didn't go back. I think I went back for the midterm and the final in his office, because he answered all the questions for me. And the same thing with, religion as literature and whatever. I mean, you go back and forth, read the Bible, it has all the answers, all the questions, so, but then you go on a wonderful adventure, it's your life.
And actually, what you mentioned about going to class and never coming back,
Right.
that ties me into this right here, because I remember when I first started working in cardiac rehab,
Same way.
I thought I had all the answers.
Right.
I thought I could just tell people what to do, and they would make the changes, and they'd be much healthier.
Big surprise.
But I remember one patient in particular, when I first started working cardiac rehab, I went to approach her and talk to her about her risk factors, and she was a smoker. And the first thing that she told me is that if you say anything about me quit smoking, I will never come back to cardiac rehab again.
Oh.
And of course, 5 minutes later, I told her how bad smoking was for her and she should quit, and I never saw her again. So what we're gonna
Did you
talk about
learn
now.
from that?
What's that? I learned from that, so hopefully she learned from that, I don't know. But what we're gonna talk about now is truth. What is the truth, okay? Because a lot of times, as we said, we're talking about the GPS system. You know, if you want to get to where you want to go in terms of your health or your goals or aspirations, first of all, you need to know where you are, okay? So we're going to take a truth inventory. And just to point out a few things on this list, obviously, physical activity, what that means is on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being you exercise every day, you are very faithful with your exercise program, 1 being I don't do any exercise, okay? This is how I want you to answer these. So again, are you following your nutrition as well as you feel like you can? Or is there room for improvement? Jim, I see you smiling there, so,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the bad one.
When we talk about some of the other ones, in terms of the present focused, you know, as I said before, are you thinking about the here and now, or are you kind of drifting off to what you have to do later on in the day? Some other things, you know, how courageous do you feel? How driven do you feel? How passionate are you? So take a few moments, all right, and take a personal inventory, and I want you to circle each of these, all right? And we'll ask some questions. And physical therapy is not going to be happy with me again. So. So again, this is the here and now. Taking a truth inventory. If any of you have any questions or need, oh, you got done with that pretty quickly. Did you get the other one too? This one's
Done
yeah,
already.
yeah. There you go.
What's compassion for myself?
Compassion for yourself.
That is
Are
right.
you, are you really hard on yourself?
Are you
I mean,
forgiving towards yourself
yeah,
when you don't
yeah.
always
So
do
what
what
is it?
If you
you're
mess up,
supposed to?
you know,
Yeah.
I'm harder on
If I
myself
never
than
miss
anybody ever could.
maybe you're a 1 on that.
Ever.
You know
So,
that-
yeah, yeah.
Pretty sure
I mean,
you
yeah,
have
there's
more
no doubt
than
I'm gonna use this on me.
self translation. One way that you can
Then I should change that back to a 1.
Well, but when we work on compassion,
Well, Miss Battle, we haven't seen your husband since that first day when you're trying to punch him in the nose. Is that the reason why? Oh, he doesn't need the glasses, okay. Doing our, you're another writer's block here. huh?
Yeah, I'm feeling strangely optimistic today, and so.
So here's how you wanna evaluate it. You wanna think about your behaviors over the last 6 months of your life
Okay,
and how much time and energy and resources you put into these and making them exactly where they should be. For the last 6 months, so
okay.
since February or March,
Well,
what
it
have I
was so
been
hard to
doing?
get here. When I'm finally
Yeah.
here, there's this, like, a great sense of relief and, okay, now I'm doing the right thing, but
Right.
the,
But
to
you have
get
to
here-
reflect back on those last
Yeah.
6 months to really kind of, what you're trying to do is be honest with yourself with what you've been doing.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what you've been doing,
Right.
not what you hope.
No, not what
We
you
talked
hope,
about
but what
that,
you've been
on
doing in the
Monday,
past.
remember,
Okay.
trying to get you to maybe exercise more. You're
Right.
sleeping good. so-
I sleep good also. I go to bed about 6 o'clock, you get up about 6, so I get
Oh.
about 11, 12 hours of
That's
sleep.
good. Now, as far as do the mental and spiritual ones as well.
Do me do these?
Yep, you do those ones as well.
Oh,
Yep.
Lord.
You have a question, Ms. Brown? or- Okay. I know some of you are still filling this out, but to make sure we get done on a really reasonable time here. How many of you were all 5s? Anybody? Nobody?
On the physical?
On all of them? Okay. Okay,
I should be a politician.
Good liar. Good politician.
are there any, on any of these dimensions here that maybe caught your attention that you just realized this is something that maybe I'd like to work on a little bit more? And any of you have a specific area on any of the different categories that you realize that you'd like to do a little bit more?
Physical activity.
The physical activity, that's a big one for you. Courtney, same thing?
Sleep and physical.
Trying, yes, as we talked about earlier, the sleep.
I got nutrition, physical activity, and sleep.
Okay, and where are you on nutrition there?
Using cognitive distortion.
Okay, you're a 2, you're a 2. Was it, before you were in the hospital, were you at a 2 then, or have you moved up a little
I
bit?
think I've always been at a 2, trying.
Okay.
Not knowing exactly what is, good to eat or what's better to eat,
Okay.
or what, what the different
Go ahead.
things do to your system.
Yes, how well are you at managing time?
Are you on time?
Yeah.
Appointments, do you?
Time restraints, yeah.
Okay, so I guess when we, if this is where we are right now, my question for you guys is if you continued on the same path, 5 years, 10 years down the road, are you gonna be where you want to be in terms of the purpose and goals that you wrote down?
No,
Okay,
no. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yep.
We didn't make some good decisions.
So again, this is something that you can do on a regular basis, or maybe when we're talking out on the floor in cardiac rehab, I may ask you guys, okay, where are you, over the past week in terms of your physical activity or your nutrition, okay? So again, when we talk about where we are and where we want to go, obviously, we have to understand the truth of the matter is, if we continue on the path that we are now, we may not be able to reach the goals that we want. Now, that's not always, for a lot of us, and actually, Courtney, you just kind of gave us your story about why that happened. Each of us has a reason why we are not more active, or we don't eat healthy, or we don't manage our stress better, okay? Maybe, as you have been talking about, Eileen, maybe it's the fact that, you're so consumed helping your mother, and that has really affected your ability to eat healthier or to exercise, okay? And Courtney, as you talked about earlier, your lack of sleep really gives you, little energy to exercise more or be with your family more, okay? Does anybody else have a story in terms of why they're unable to be more active or eat better, or what are the things that are blocking you to reach your goals? Any stories? Any other good story? I want a good juicy
I
story
got a
too.
good juicy story.
Okay,
I don't think my husband and my daughter take my coming to class serious.
okay,
I'm dependent on them right now because the doctor doesn't want me to drive.
sure.
And they take their time.
Yeah.
When it's
Okay.
time for me to come to class, I'm always late because I'm waiting for them.
Sure.
They have to drive me, and I'm waiting for them. I don't think they take it seriously.
Tell them
enough.
you have to be there earlier than what it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't work,
Yeah.
it's still they drag their feet.
Now, are you talking about your daughter that drives you to the mall and walks with you?
Yeah, her
Okay.
too, she's outside
Okay.
now. She
Okay.
will come in
Alright.
because she's sick. I didn't come yesterday, well, Monday,
Okay.
because she was sick.
Okay, well, how could you change that story? What could you do to allow you to be more active and be more on time?
I'm getting some new glasses and I'm gonna drive myself again.
Okay, that's a good story. Hey. Courtney, how can you change your story?
Well, I think that's why I'm here. I think learn how to exercise more would make me sleep better,
Okay.
you know, and it'll give me more energy in order to do the things that I need to do. Right now, I feel like if I stay on the same path that I'm on, not sleeping well, you know, and being low energized during the day, I don't think, I don't even know if I'll be healthy enough to have a successful retirement.
Okay, so that was a deep statement there, so, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So again, for each of you, you know, think about what your stories are right now, whether it was a death in the family, or, you know, family members that you're taking care of that has really affected your ability to be more healthy. And what can you do now? How can you change that story so you can get to where you want to be? So you can move from maybe a 2 on the list to a 3 or a 4, okay? All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is action. It used to be when I first came into cardiac rehab, this would be the first thing that we told you about. If you're in the doctor's office, this is what your doctor tells you. When you go see the doctor tells you you need to lose weight, or you need to exercise, you need to watch what you eat. Well, for most of us, I mean, we know all those things. We know the changes we need to make, okay? We talked about today about how our energy affects us to make those changes, and we also talked about, you know, how our past stories kind of get in our way of making those changes. But let's talk about how we can actually go about and make healthy changes and make changes to reach our goals. The first thing I want to draw to your attention is I hope nobody in this room plans to use willpower for the rest of your lives to make changes. Okay? Because willpower by itself doesn't work. How many of you ever started an exercise program, really great, and got off track? I can raise my hand. I've done it a few times. Okay, so and the thing about willpower is a lot of times you may look at someone like an athlete or a friend who seems to be more active or watch what they eat, and you may think, well, they just have more willpower than I do. But the truth of the matter is, for most people who stick with healthy habits, they just have it become part of their lives. It becomes a habit. And if we think about our lives, we are creatures of habit, all right? When we go to church, we sit in the same pew, right? You know, when we go to the restaurants, you know, maybe we go to the same type of restaurants, or when we're at the grocery store, how many of us go up and down the aisle the same way? I know I do, okay? But we kind of formulate these habits. So what we need to think about is how we can start to formulate healthier habits, okay? So what is our plan of action? So again, we can't rely just on willpower because that's only going to take us so far. We need to develop rituals and develop habits that we can handle.
I like the word you used before, discipline.
Yes.
That's something that I gotta focus on, discipline, because if I don't have no discipline, I'm not gonna keep trying to be physically fit.
Yeah,
you know?
but that's part of just building in a habit.
Yeah.
So, and maybe starting with small steps. You know, like the example I mentioned with the lady who I told her to quit smoking and she never showed up again, okay? Maybe what I should have done was ask her, would you be willing to cut back on how much cigarettes you have a day, okay? So maybe, you know, for some of you, you're not ready to go from, you know, eating a lot of meat to be a complete vegetarian, okay? But maybe you can start by, you know, having one day a week that's a meatless day, okay? Or to start to add more fruits and vegetables. I talked to somebody today who lives 2 miles away from a farmer's market. And we talked about, well, she can walk down there and get some fresh fruits and vegetables and then walk back, and then she would be getting more activity and eating healthier. So think about in terms of what you're doing now. Okay, we talked about our old story, we talked about our new story that we want to come up with. You know, what are some rituals that you can put in place now that can help you sleep better at night? Handle your impatience with your family members better. You know, what are some things that you can start to turn around or make little changes to get you moving in the right direction?